마치 burn it up 아름다운 이 밤에 몸을 흔들어 party 모두 유유유가래 yeah that's 마치 bump it up 소리 질러 party 리듬에 맞춰 shawty 유유유가래.
Welcome to Wonderful Beauty, your new K-pop haven.
We're Ann and TJ, just your friendly second and third generation Nuna and Hyung, here to discuss random K-pop related topics.
With over 2 decades of friendship between us, we're inviting you on a nostalgic journey through the evolution of K-pop, from the iconic groups of the past to the hot stars of today. We'll share unfiltered opinions, hilarious anecdotes, and insider knowledge.
So grab your favorite snacks, hit play, and let us dive into the world of K-pop together.
All right, so this is our debut episode, I guess.
Yes, just like all of our favorite groups, we're starting from the beginning. We're finally debuting ourselves to the world.
Yeah, so this has been in the talks, this podcast at least, has been in talks for, I want to say, maybe about a year, maybe getting close to a year, I think.
Yeah, so what it was is we just have random conversations constantly.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Every day. Through Messenger, because we live 350 miles away from each other.
Yeah.
And it was a joke that started out. I want to say it started out with me complaining about someone making a reel, and it was like the top 5 high notes in K-pop.
Yeah.
And I was mad that one, all of them weren't high notes, they were long notes. And I don't trust any sort of list of high notes if DK, Sungkwan, IU, or Taeyeon is not on.
Yeah, I could totally get that. But yeah, I think it's just went off, and we're like, do we have the same opinions as other fans? You know, do other fans also feel like they can relate to this, or is there something that there's an artist that we don't even know of, and they just kind of bring up, or like, oh yeah, there's this artist too that can hit them high notes.
Exactly. So it was always a joke of like, oh, we should do a podcast. Oh, we should do a podcast. And so finally, I think it was this summer, just like 2 months ago, we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. Because we were getting together for our 20th anniversary. We had this whole thing planned out. And we were like, you know what, let's do it. Let's just get together. Let's record our random opinions. And from there, it kind of snowballed. That's the phrase I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you open up Pandora's box, it just kept coming out. Like, no joke. We just literally went, all right, let's do a podcast. Now let's make a list of things of what we should, like topics we should talk about. So of course it would be this one, right? The intro, like who we are, how our K-pop journey started, all these things. And then it's like, okay, well, since we're taking this trip to LA for our 20-year anniversary, right, talk about KCON, right? Our experience with that. And we're like, okay, well, we're also going to see IU. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. Oh, there's fan events. Let's talk about that too. And then it just kept going. Like, we started making this huge list, like, no joke.
And it's funny because then we're like, oh, well, let's do a YouTube page too, and we can do like blind reactions. We can finally introduce each other to groups that we've never heard of. And even at the time of recording, I think this week alone, we added 3 or 4 new topics to our list.
Yeah, we really did. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like a fleeting thought, and we would just put it in the chat that we're in, and we're just like, hey, what do you think about this? We're like, oh yeah, that's an interesting topic, or oh, what do you think about that? And then it just, honestly, it just kept build on top of each other. But yeah, maybe we should just introduce ourselves and let everyone know who we are. Yeah,
so let's do that. Let's talk about our K-pop journey and how we got to where we are.
Yeah, so my name is Anne. I am a second gen fan. So that means I started way back in around 2008, 2009. So this is like the height of what we would call Hallyu wave. So pretty much what happened was that back when Super Junior Sorry Sorry first came out, obviously it was very viral, right? But I wasn't listening to K-pop back then. And I was just pretty much on YouTube doing something. Don't know what I was doing. I was doing something though. and it popped up like, those like things that's like has the most view on the homepage, that sort of thing. And it says Super Junior Sorry Sorry. And I remember one of my friends on Facebook was talking about it. And I was like, okay, well, I can listen to it, see what this is, see what the hype is. I don't know anything about K-pop at the time. Really catchy, right? It's just literally sorry, sorry over and over again in your head. And then so I was like, okay, cool. Well, that's all right, whatever. So then I just kind of moved on from that. And then I stumbled upon G Dragon's Heartbreaker. So this is where I started kind of, as we would say, snowball.
Yeah.
Yeah, snowball. So I listened to G Dragon's Heartbreaker, got really hooked into it because it has that repetitive beat, that I guess they were comparing it to Flow Rider's Spin Around song close to it. So I
Okay.
was like, okay, yeah, I can get into this. So then I listened to his song, love the visual, love the MV. I was like, okay, cool. But then it linked me, or not linked me, but it has the suggested video that popped up that was like about his documentary, which is about how he made this album, what he does on his day off. It was like a mini docu-series vlog type thing. I don't remember the title of it since it was so long ago. And I watched it, and then I was like, wow, this is so cool. Look at all this work he's putting into it, right? This is what he does on his day off. He's just relaxing, hang out with his dogs. Oh, cool. He has this, he's doing that. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool and very almost unfiltered, because I don't think many American artists would vlog about their day to day like this. Some do. I remember, I think it was like when Linkin Park did a collab with Jay-Z, but it's only
Mm.
like in the studio, right? When they're recording their album. This is like more. You get to kind of peek into a celebrity's life
So you would
almost.
say this is kind of the predecessor to things like Blackpink House and Going 17.
Yeah, pretty much. And then this is like, this is not where they have all these camera crew. This is just pretty much G Dragon, I believe, just having it like a selfie camera type thing going around. And then there's some camera crew, but it's not a lot. It's not this
Right.
big production that it is right now with like, like Going 17, the Blackpink in the House, all these things. So that was really cool. So then I started diving into it more, honestly. So that's when I discovered 2 p.m. Oh my gosh, my first alt group. So I listened to 2 p.m. when they debuted it again and again. Again, very great, very catchy. And what's cool about this is not like regular K-pop, right? It has a little bit of like an R&B feel. Got some like synthesizers going on. It was really good,
Right.
super catchy. Got the iconic JYP. So
We'll be
so I was
discussing the iconic JYP a lot.
Oh yeah, no, we love the JYP. We love the JYP thing. But yeah, so then I got to 2 p.m. and then that's when I realized, oh, they do these music shows. That's cool. What American artists do that? They only do it if they're on SNL, right? Which is once a week. But this music shows is almost every day, because you have the music core, you got M Countdown, you got Show Champion, all these things. So I was
Right.
like, wow, that's intense. So I started watching their docu-series about it. Again, it's just them doing missions. They're looking to your lives, little like backstage interviews type thing. And they're so down to earth. They're so silly. They're so funny. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I can get into this. Then I got into Beast. Then I started learning all about these like other groups that are, their first or second year in, right? Girls' Generation, got more into Super Junior. I've learned about like Tiara, Kara, like the Shiny even, because of 2 p.m., I fell deeper. And because of Beast, I fell even more and I was locked in. There's no escaping anymore. That's it. I'm all in. And then so because of that, one thing that most people probably not know is that I was a single mom at the time. I have a kid, and at the time they were roughly like a year or so at that age when I first got into K-pop. So being a single mom, staying at home, it's not that great, especially if you're doing absolutely nothing. And the thing about me is that I always need to be busy. I always need to be doing something. Um, so I'm so grateful. My parents let me stay at the house. They did not kick me out. But again, they're working so hard every single day being immigrant parents. I felt really bad. They're literally supporting me and they're supporting my sister, and then they're supporting my baby. It's a lot. So I was like, I need to get into something to feel more useful, make a little
Right.
side hustle or something. So, if TJ remembers, I used to have an Etsy shop.
Yep.
Yeah, so he would kind of hook me up to like these craft shows that we would have at our local community center type places when they have craft shows for the holidays and stuff. And I was just making like random cute foodie charms, that sort of thing or whatever. Mostly they're out of clay, plastic, all that stuff. And then as I dabble more into clay, my sister, she was like, "Oh, hey, you should try to do something with K-pop that's related." And I was like, "Well, at the time, K-pop didn't have those mascots that we would
Yeah.
have now. Like BTS, they have B21, TXT just came out with their own thing, New Jeans has the bunnies and all that stuff. ATs have the Annie
Any
Tiny or
Mouse, any tiny,
Anime.
yeah.
So it's not a huge thing back then. Again, K-pop was new, right? They didn't think this marketing thing would work out because they were so condensed in Korea. They didn't think about internationally as much yet. So my sister was like, "Hey, you should do something with this." And I was like, "Okay, well, maybe I can make like a cute little like charm of Yosob, my alt bias from Beast." So I made it. It was super cute, and my sister's like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." And then her friends happened to see it, and they're like, "Oh, can you make one of Taemin from Shiny?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can do that." So I made one for her. She absolutely loved it. But again, these are like tiny little teens, like they like anything that's cute. So I was like, "Okay, whatever." So then back then we had Tumblr. Remember Tumblr?
Oh yeah. No, I remember Tumblr. That was a dark period.
Yeah, it was the Wild Wild West back then.
It really was.
Anything goes. So I was on Tumblr. I think I posted something about making a charm, and I got good feedback from it. So then I kind of jumped in right into it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna open up a shop on Tumblr called Handmade K-pop Goods. I'm just gonna make charms of idols, and hopefully, maybe people will love it. Maybe not. We'll see. The page is still up. I have checked. The handmadekpopgoods.tumblr.com is still up. I don't know if you can see any of the images though, but I'm sure if you Google it, there's some images that'll pop up of all the charms I've made with my watermark on it. But it just like dominoes, it just kept going. It just kept rolling, snowballing. Sorry. It just kept going and going and going. And it picked up so fast that I grew within that year of how many charms I've made. I would literally start with maybe like 2 a week to up to 20 to 30 a week.
Yeah.
It literally became a full-time job. I was actually making money and I felt really good about myself, which is great. But also just spreading the love of K-pop and realizing, wow, there is a lot of K-pop fans out there that are just like me. This is not like a weirdo thing. Like, you know how back then anime was not cool. It's only for a certain group. Yeah, the dark days also.
Let's just say that the 2000s, early 2000s was unhinged.
It was really
Because like Anne said, like, we had the anime wave, which technically started in the 90s here in America, but
right,
you were
exactly.
weird if you liked it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then here comes this other Asian wave from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Y'all have it easy nowadays.
Oh yeah, y'all have it easy. Back in my day. We'll be using this joke a lot too. But yeah, so it snowballed, and this is like my first, I guess, door opening to where how connected we all could feel no matter where anyone is. So another thing that was huge back then is forums. So we didn't have like those like group chats you would have here, that sort of thing, or Instagram. It's not that huge back then. We have forums where you just go in for, like Girls' Generation. Their international forum was called Socified, and super well known. They always raise a ton of money to get gifts for the girls, like for their anniversary, their birthdays, birthday projects, you name it, they will freaking do it. They get easily funded by thousands of dollars. And then I think Beast was, oh, I don't remember, but there was just so many forums back then for K-pop fans for certain groups. I happened to join one of the groups for, or the forums for Gina, B2B, and 2 p.m/2 a.m. because they kind of grouped them together, which is easier to manage because at the time those were like the big board groups in JYP. But joined these forums, became like not an admin, but like, part of the staff members type of deal or whatever. I guess the highest one will be for Gina. She was a soloist back then, for under Cube, and I was the project manager. Now this is where I learned about how to give gifts to K-pop idols. It's not like now where you can't give any gifts to K-pop idols because it's too much, it's not needed, safety reasons, all this stuff. Again, this is the Wild Wild West. The idols will accept any gifts.
Yeah, this is
So,
before you would see posts on Instagram for like food truck donations, getting
like
new
more
microphones.
practical things. Yeah, more
Yeah,
practical things. Because like this is like an example I can give is when EXO's Kai, I think it was his birthday, I believe. Some fans gifted him the new iPad at the time, or it's a MacBook. I forgot which one it was. It
good
was an
lord.
Apple product. Yeah. But in
Right.
the end, he received literally 1,000 of the same thing. What is Kai gonna do with 1,000 iPads? You tell me. You tell me. Okay, I don't know. But so, they had to cut it off because companies were like, okay, this is not practical, right? So now there's food trucks and stuff. Back then, it's just whatever you want to give them, honestly. So for the Gina, for example, for Gina's, I believe her 1 year anniversary, we made like this cute little like album, like scrapbook album, where we had fans from all over write her like congratulatory notes, love notes, that sort of thing. We even bought her like a cute little like snuggie because that was like really big at the time. Bought her perfume, bought her like tiny little gifts, just make it into a big package, ship off to Korea, right to Cube's door. And she opened it. And then what's so cool was that she'll post on her social media like, oh, I received this gift. Thank you so much to my fans, all these things. And it made me feel so proud because I was like, wow, that is, this is what all the effort we put into it. Idols recognize it, right? Another great thing that I love about K-pop, idols are always so thankful for their fans because the fans really do help make the idols become more popular and all these other things. Yeah. So that was my experience with K-pop, being a fan, that sort of thing. But my first experience in going to a concert has to be Wonder Girls and 2 p.m. This is when Wonder Girls was breaking out to the American market, that sort of thing. Super fun, super interactive. I got to get the VIP thing, so I get to meet the girls and the boys backstage and everything. Take a photo. It was super great. Once in a lifetime, honestly, because Wonder Girls is done.
Unfortunately, yeah, no.
Unfortunately, yes. And then
We're still waiting.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Look at this. I mean, all these second gen groups are coming back. Wonder Girls.
And Wonder Girls, come on. Let's go. Come on, JYP.
You got husbands. You got kids. The husbands can watch the kids for a little bit, right? It's okay.
Anne is speaking from experience, so she knows what she's talking about.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So then, from then on, I went to Korean music festivals. Now, this is a huge thing back then for the second and I believe up to maybe third gen. There was no KCON. KCON just started kind of recently, like 10 or so years ago. But the Korean Music Festival in LA started, I want to say like late 90s, maybe. Don't if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. I did not research about this, but it was a huge musical thing. And they would have not just like the biggest K-pop stars at the time, they would also have like trot singers, a little bit of, like hip hop and all this. So it's like a collective of all these people, no matter the age, because most of the trot singers are, you know, older people, right? You've got the older women, older men. I mean, they were vibing though. They were lit. I enjoyed that more than some of the K-pop groups, honestly. But my first interaction with an idol, I would say it's 2PM Wonder Girls, but this is like where I felt more recognized and why I was like, K-pop is the reason why that kind of changed my life and changed my perspective of this whole industry. Is that Gina was there, she was performing, and she was a host for the show as well. And obviously, we went to the concert, super fun, super great. And then we went back to the hotel and we see this crowd in the middle of the lobby. And I was like, oh, what's going on? It's probably just like an idol, right? I could have been anyone. And then my sister kind of looked and she was like, oh, it's Gina. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And she was like, you should go. And I was like, I don't know. The crowd's kind of big. And she was like, no, it seems like the manager is wanting her to say hi to everyone. You should go. I was like, okay, I guess you can watch my baby and I could just. So then I went over to the crowd and everything. And, you know, Gina was saying hi to everyone, signing things, all this stuff. So I went up to her. I just literally had like a piece of paper. I didn't have anything with me at the time because I think we just came back from dinner. So I didn't think much about like running into an idol or anything like that, like let alone a hotel lobby, right?
Right.
So I went
mean,
up. Yeah, who would, right? Like, what are the chances of staying in the same hotel where the idol happens to be staying at the same time, right? I ain't stalker. I ain't sassing. I ain't nothing like that. But so yeah, went up to her with a piece of paper. I was like, hey, you know, you did great at the concert. Love you so much. You know, huge fan. You know, just the typical fan banter you would give for an idol, right? And she was like, oh, thank you so much, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then she would like take my piece of paper and she signed her name and she wants to do, you know, like to so and so, whatever. So she was like, oh, okay, so what's your name? And I was like, oh, my name is Anne. And then she paused and she looked at me and she was like, oh, you're Anne. You're the one who did the gifts, right? And I was like, uh-huh, yeah. And she was like, thank you so much for doing all these gifts. It's super sweet. I can tell you put so much effort with, you know, the other fans, all these things. I was like, uh-huh, yeah. Starstruck, just absolutely starstruck. But yeah, so I guess that's my like actual like conversation with an idol who thanked me for being a project manager for this forum. You know, you think that you're just a tiny little thing, even though you're like international because you're on the internet, that sort of thing. But it was just so nice to be recognized like that. It made the whole experience super special and just made me feel so proud being a K-pop fan. Like I didn't think about like, oh, this is like a weird thing anymore type of deal, you know, like when you used to like anime
Right.
back then, like you're embarrassed by it almost. You had to hide it. Like at that point, I was just like, what's the point in hiding it? This is what I love to do. I love organizing projects like this to give to idols. I love making charms at the time. And then like I was able to give some of these charms to K-pop idols. Like how special is that and everything? I made the charms for like Girls' Generation. I made it for some after school members, made for 4 Minute, made for You Kiss, I believe. I mean, I made for so many idols back then. It was just super special and just knowing they receive it. Like they don't even have to show off. If they just receive it, I'll be happy. I was like, they know I made that. You don't have to know, but I made that.
Weren't you technically on national TV with one of your charms?
Yeah,
Didn't someone
I
have
was.
one at Isaac?
Yes, that's what it was. So if everyone knows, there's that idol athletic thing. It's pretty much like field day for all
Yeah.
idols. It's field day for idols. So I didn't know this because the girl who ordered these charms to give to the girls of after school, she didn't want to freak me out, I guess, because I was freaking out over Girls' Generation at the time. Like I was so stressed in making these charms for Girls' Generation perfect that I literally had to remake it about 2-3 times. Like, I was so stressed, and she knew about it. So she was just like, "Hey, can you make me a charm of, like, after school's Yui? Can you make it of Kahi?" You know, all these things. And I was just like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Just regular order." And then next thing I knew, someone screenshot, I guess it wasn't, like, on TV, but I'm pretty sure it showed up, but someone had, like, a fan cam of after school's Yui, taking a selfie with another member, I think, or just, like, another idol, and you can see from so this is back when we had flip phones. Remember this, we have flip phones, and it has a tiny little hole where you can hang your little, like, phone charms on it. So she was doing a selfie with the flip phone, and there's a charm hanging there. And if you zoom in, it was my charm. It was the charm I made that would make stress free. And if I knew she was having it, I would have freaked out. I still freaked out anyway. And I was like, oh, "You gave that to her?" And she was like, "Yeah, I knew you would be stressed. So I just told you to make one for me. And I just gave it to her. And now there it is. There's proof." And I was like, oh. So
So cool.
that, yeah, that was a very proud moment too. Again, it just shows K-pop fans' love for idols and the love that idols have for fans. It's just reciprocal, you know? It's always giving and back and forth, that sort of thing. But yeah, so now that we're in what, fourth gen, fifth gen? Fifth gen,
I think we're in
right?
fifth, yeah.
Yeah, we're in fifth gen now. I mean, still a huge fan. Obviously, the groups that I like has changed a little bit, you know. Now I'm more into 17, thanks to my kid. Got into ATs. That was a big rabbit hole. We will discuss
That's
that
a
a little
whole episode
later.
that you guys get to enjoy later
Ooh.
on. It's just literally the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, it's a little rabbit hole. But I mean, but all these new groups that are coming out now, it's hard to keep up sometimes. But I mean,
Yeah.
like we said when we do blind reactions in this podcast, I'm open to, you know, I'm open to anything because there's so many good groups out there that we probably don't know about. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that is my K-pop journey. It's rough, man.
So mine's a little more recent. Mine's a little ups and downs, tumultuous.
Yeah.
And our listeners will also recognize a few more of the groups that are going to be mentioned because, like I said, I started later. So technically, mine started in 2011. I was shown Super Junior's "Mr. Simple" by Anne.
Ooh.
We used to, after high school used to have movie nights,
Mhm.
and I couldn't tell you what we were watching at the time. It was always a dumb theme,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Anne came sliding over with her MacBook and was like, "Oh my god, you guys have to watch this."
Mhm.
Okay, whatever. We were
Yeah.
at Anne's house, so we did whatever Anne wanted to do. And I remember watching it and like being like, "Okay, this is catchy. I don't know what this is, but okay, cool."
Yeah.
I didn't actually get into K-pop until I was introduced to the Wonder Girls.
Oh, yeah.
I instantly fell in love. I loved the vocals, loved the visuals, and like Anne said, we had the little JYP. And I don't know about his other groups at the time, but I do know that in Wonder Girls, he would actually have a whole bunch of random comedic cameos.
Mhm.
I instantly fell in love with Yubin. She's actually my first ever bias before I knew what a bias was.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you remember this, Anne, but back before we had the iPhones and everything, we had the iTouches. And there was a game
Yeah.
here called Tap Tap Revenge. And Wonder Girls had a pack on there with 2 different tiers and nobody.
Yeah, if no one knows what Tap Tap Revenge is, what's the equivalent to what is it now? It's the one that my kid plays a lot too.
There are so many. I know that there's a whole bunch of unofficial ones, but I think the most official one, there's Starstruck, I think, which are
Something like
individual groups.
that.
And then
Mhm.
Hybe and Big Hit have Rhythm Hive.
Yes, I think that's what's the one that Kiddo plays a lot too, or whatever the 17 one is. But that's pretty much related to it. It's just the music rhythm game that you just tap on the screen for.
And it was super simple. It just played the video. Played the music video. It had buttons. You didn't collect cards or do anything like that like you do
The
nowadays.
simpler days.
I think my first favorite song was probably "Be My Baby." I remember the monochromatic theme of them, just them on top of some risers, and then they had these little colored puff balls
Oh
And those were the
yeah.
only colors that you would see in the entire video.
Mm-hmm.
But as Wonder Girls became more popular here in America,
Mm-hmm.
because they were touring with the Jonas Brothers, so they were really one of the first groups to, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, to start releasing English songs.
Yeah, at the time, that's very unheard of. Other than Wonder Girls, I'm pretty sure Wonder Girls is the only one that does almost all of their hit tracks or their title tracks in English.
Yeah,
The only one who did it at the time would be Girls' Generation. I believe it's The Boys, because they debuted at one of the late night shows and they debuted it in English to
yeah,
kind of open that gate of like, hey, it's connected, you know?
yeah. So we started with getting English versions of some of their hit songs, like
Hmm.
Nobody, and that's the one that I vividly remember. But it wasn't until a little later we got full English songs. So we
Oh
got
yeah.
The DJ Is Mine and Like Money, which to this day, those are still some of my favorite songs, big bops.
Oh yeah.
Um, and we were also very blessed with those of y'all who were not second gen may not remember this. I don't even know if Teen Nick is still a thing, actually. But
Yeah. Why are they having a Nickelodeon now?
child, I couldn't tell you. We actually got a Teen Nick full English Wonder Girls movie. And I
Oh, it was a
remember you and
huge
I
thing.
DVRing it. Again, this is before streaming. If you guys haven't guessed, we're old. Um, and we got together on a day off and watched that movie. And I still remember it to this day. And I've watched it recently, and it is one of the dumbest plots ever. It was a way to
Oh my
promote, of course,
gosh.
the Wonder Girls who were touring with Jonas Brothers at the time. And then Teen
Hmm.
Nick had the Schoolgirls, which was a group that they were promoting at the time.
Yeah, it was really cool. And of course, JYP's there for a
Oh, yeah.
cameo. He was everywhere.
Um, but I have here for you, Anne, a little fun fact. In
Okay.
2022, US Weekly released an article that was the 100 best girl groups of all time. Wonder
Okay.
Girls was on that list, and they were
Oh,
credited with helping bringing the K-pop wave over here.
which is very true. As you know, as TJ mentioned, with a little bit of backstory of Wonder Girls, they toured with Jonas Brothers. That's like an opening for them. That's really cool, right? So, and again, they did all the English songs to make it relatable to new listeners, hopefully new fans as well. And I mean, it worked, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at where we are today.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone can accredit to Psy, which I will give Psy credit as well.
Oh
Psy's
yeah.
the one who pushed it out. All props to him. But honestly, for us, the older gen, everyone can also say, give credit to Wonder Girls because
Yeah.
JYP was smart about promoting it, pushing it.
Um, to give you a little more inspiration or hype on it, there were only 3 other girl groups from Korea on this list of 100 top girl groups. That
Okay,
included Girls' Generation,
all
To
right.
Anyone, and Blackpink.
I love that, including 21 and Girls' Generation. I can already guess Blackpink would be on it with what they have
Right.
accomplished recently, right? But having Girls' Generation 21, it just kind of shows that they are like the household name.
Right.
They're the one who started all these as well. The original second gen girl groups.
Right.
Hmm.
And that list is really kind of a testament to what we're trying to do here of this blending of the new and the old and helping
Hmm.
get K-pop out to everybody.
Yeah, bridging it all together of the past and the future and all that stuff.
So during that time, I didn't really listen to anyone else. I knew who Infinite was. I knew who 2 p.m. was, 2 a.m. Mostly because this one cried a lot every time a 2 a.m. video came out.
I'm just saying, okay, they're ballads.
Uh, but JYP did something stupid. I will say this: if I ever meet the man, I will tell it to his face. Wonder Girls switched from retro pop to a band concept,
Oh
which
gosh.
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with the history and evolution of bands. That's something we're going to look into later.
Hmm.
But this is, I think, before Day 6 and
Hmm.
some other groups.
Yeah.
I lost interest in Wonder Girls and K-pop as a whole at that point. To
Yeah.
this day, I still have not listened to Why So Only in that entire album.
And you shouldn't.
No,
No, no,
unfortunately, she's
listen to
gonna
the
make me.
B-sides.
On a future
no.
episode, she is going to make me. So I
Well,
apologize
you
for
can
my
listen to the
face reaction at the
B-sides.
time.
Listen to the B-sides. Don't listen
No.
to the title track. The
No.
B-sides. Humans on it.
I'd rather listen to human solo stuff than listen to that. I will listen to Lady on repeat. I did not return to K-pop until 2017 with the introduction of Blackpink. I believe we were on our way to H Mart and Anne was like, "Hey, I know you really don't like K-pop, but here, listen to this group." And it was Whistle. Whistle was the song that we first played. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is actually pretty cool. This is so different than what I was used to listening to."
Right.
But I didn't actually get into K-pop officially until I stumbled across, out of all the songs in the world, as you guys get to know me with more episodes, I'm not a big bubblegum pop person. But it was Ice Cream Cake by Red Velvet, which was featured on I think, top female K-pop artist Spotify list. And I messaged Anne and I was like, what is this? Who is this?
Let me give you the backstory real quick.
Yeah, and which Anne has always done. Anytime I've gotten into a new group, I've gotten an entire essay retrospective. If I still had access to my old Tumblr, there is a 2-page history of Wonder Girls that she sent me on there.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. At that point, I only listened to girl groups. A big reason for it was, one, I didn't like at the time the beauty standards for male K-pop idols. I didn't like the bowl cut. I didn't like the fact that they had to look more feminine.
Yeah.
Also, because even that early on in my journey, I'd had a lot of negative interactions with ARMY. So I was like, nope, don't want to do this. That changed about a year or so later. Actually, it was probably about 7 years ago, I want to say. I could get that wrong. I think it was right before I ended up moving down here to San Antonio. And was like, no, you've got to give boy groups a chance. I know you don't like BTS, but here.
Yeah, there's other
watch
groups,
this.
Yeah,
she was like, here, watch this video. And she sent me Hero by Monsta X. First ever boy group video that I'd seen since 2011. Which I'm starting to find out is a lot of people's introduction into Monsta X is that Hero video. But it brought back a lot of music euphoria that I got with the Wonder Girls because it was a different vibe. Because again, I'm not a big bubblegum pop fan. Wonder Girls did retro pop, which is more disco, more jazz. Instantly became my ultimate group with Red Velvet due to their visuals, the vocals, and the rap line. I was instantly drawn to Shonu because, again, he didn't have that typical boy group appearance that you would see at the time. Right. Wonho was my first bias wrecker. I would unfortunately join right before Wonho left the group. Follow was my first comeback. And I think it was the same week or 2 weeks after is when unfortunately Wonho left the group. I went through a big bias wrecker shuffle. It was Changyun, it was Kion, it was anyone but B-Clips. Poor young one. I bullied that poor kid so much. I did end up settling with Jew Honey when I watched him in the Gambler dance practice video. And this was also the first group that I actively collected. It was the first group that I got every single album from, and was very lucky to have found me the Trespass album, their debut album, at Pink Box. So after that, I started to dive really hard into boy groups. I got into SF9, got into Stray Kids, Astro, Day 6, more recently ATEEZ, All Hours. And to this day, I'm still incredibly involved in the community. I'm part of the buy-sell trade community. My collection has reached probably about 220 albums, give or take.
Very quickly, too.
Very quickly, yeah. When I lived in Arlington with Anne, I think the only album that I had was Square Up, or whatever the Blackpink official physical album was that we got.
Their first album,
the one with Do. That was the only album that I think I had, and then I moved down here, and I got involved through Discord and all that. I joined a K-pop server, and there was a girl on there that was like, oh, you like Mamamoo and SF9. Well, here's some people that I know that are selling used albums. And I'm not going to show you all my shelves right now. You'll get to see it later on, but they're about to burst.
Just a little.
But I've got light sticks, plushies, photo books, and I've had such an amazing opportunity to get to see so many groups that I like. Red Velvet was our first concert that I got to see with Anne. Blackpink, I saw their first concert. Then it just spiraled from there. It was Monsta X, Mamamoo, Stray Kids, Jungkook. That was all within the same year. I got to see Eric Nam last year, which was fantastic. His energy was so high that you couldn't even tell that we were outside in 40-degree weather. Like, none of us were complaining about the cold. I recently got to see IU in Oakland, which is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It really
I'll
was.
probably never get to see her perform again.
Never again.
And then at KCON, we got to see Alexa perform, someone that I've been interested in a while. And then Taemin again. Originally, it was like, oh, we'll never get the chance to ever see Taemin again. And then, of course, the same week as KCON, he announces a world tour. So, and then I'm doing something that I've never done before. I'm actually going to see the same group in 2 different cities on 2 different days. I will be seeing 17.
Crazy.
Oh, I know. It's so crazy. I will be seeing 17 with Anne in Rosemont, Illinois. And then Halloween night in San Antonio, I will be seeing 17 again. Which, funny story, I'm not going to give you guys the entire story because I'm sure Anne will like to have an episode where she tortures me about it.
Exactly. The 17 tour, we're probably going to do the one where we're talking about the concert and everything, but
it's kind of wild to think that I anteed that group for so long because I had to sit through 3 days of my poor little godchild, bless their heart, playing the Heart 2 game over and over and over again on some 17 DVD to the point where Anne was going to be a little late picking them up and relieving me. And I still remember to this day them being like, oh, can I watch 17? I'm like, nope, we've already got your bags packed. It's time for bed. Go to bed. And now, not only do I stand the group, I've got 2 biases, 2 bias records. I've completed my collection. And if you guys haven't noticed from my cup that I keep taking sips of water from, I just recently saw the movie this week.
Yeah, that is a journey in itself that we will save in great detail for the 17 episode.
And one thing that I've also done is I've helped continue the trend that Anne started with me, and I've been able to bring a lot more people here into this wonderful community that has brought me so much joy and has changed my life.
Yeah, definitely, and probably for the better, honestly.
Oh yeah, it's just wild. It's been such a fun journey.
Oh yeah, I mean, if y'all don't know, me and TJ have been friends for 20 years. Like, we just celebrated our 20-year anniversary in LA, and I think this honestly kind of brought us closer, you know, in a sense of like just having another common ground together. Because I mean, we're friends in high school, now we're adults, you know, things definitely has changed, but love for K-pop has not changed at all.
Yeah, and it's blossomed into so many opportunities. The concerts, the conventions, the fact that spawned into K-dramas and all these other things, and it has led us to here. So really, this podcast and this journey is not just a testament to how K-pop has changed our life and brought us so much joy, but it's a testament to our friendship.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And how we've gotten here.
Yeah, and what we do want to accomplish with this whole podcast series, no matter how long it runs, is just having an open conversation. Because again, there's many things that, you know, even as friends, you do have disagreements, right? I mean, I have my own opinions of BTS, but you know, teacher will have his own, but it's not like we're fighting, right? It's an open conversation and understanding each other where we're all coming from. So for listeners out there, we want to have an open conversation too about various of topics that we're going to bring up to this whole podcast series.
Yeah. And we invite everyone to comment, send us videos, topics, things like that. all that we ask is that you guys remember that we are a community, and as a community, we need to be respectful and kind to one another.
Yeah, and also this is a safe space, you know. There's going to be no hate, no matter your background, you know. There's no judgment whatsoever. We just want to have this open conversation, hear each other out, and just, you know, just spread the love of K-pop in general. I think that's the biggest thing, honestly.
Yeah, we just want to bring the old with the new,
Mhm.
and hopefully, if we're lucky, when we're in our 60s, 70s, and the 15th, 20th generation, we're still going.
I might be too tired by then.
Let me just say this to all these K-pop artists: please make your light sticks lighter.
It's a workout, you guys.
It is. I remember, like, Red Velvet's is really light, but I went to Monster X, and I remember me and my friend Rose literally having to put our light sticks down during the solo section because it was so heavy.
And whoever, I think it's day 6 that has the wristband light stick, y'all are smart, okay?
Right. Like,
Y'all smart.
no disrespect. Again, I'm a Mon baby through and through. Even the 17 light stick, like, that thing's a little heavy. Let's take some notice. Let's take some notes from SF9 and Astro. Like, let's make it pretty, but, like, I shouldn't be able to mug somebody with it.
Hey, good thing about the light sticks, if your power goes out, they make great flashlights.
That is true.
They light up the whole room, man. But yeah, so this is our debut episode. Hopefully everyone got to know us a little bit about our K-pop journey, and hopefully you can keep listening to us at the various topics that we'll bring up.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoy just listening to us ramble. That's what a lot of this is going to be. We're going to just enjoy being with you guys and just sharing random things.
And just pretty much have like candid conversations, you know, just anything that tumbles out, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Well, that's a wrap on our first debut episode of Wonderful Beauty.
We hope you enjoyed just listening to us ramble as much as we enjoyed rambling with you guys.
Oh no. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you want to, and let us know what you think of this.
And of course, keep streaming your favorite K-pop groups.
흥건해진 밤이 보는 길 봐 우리뿐인 party 걸리적거리는 윗도린 다리에 이 본능은 설레 나란 본능 살래 Let's get down with me 이거는 네거 맘대로 막 bow with it 난 흥이 좋지 실수들이 오늘 밤에서 평생 네 오지